Okay, the next question. What is the right moment to practice noticing the spine so that sleepiness can be detected? From the bending of the spine till the neck to avoid sleepiness from slipping in? Uh, or is it not necessary? When is the right moment to practice noticing the spine so that sleepiness can be detected? From bending of the spine till the neck to avoid sleepiness from slipping in? Or is it not necessary? Yeah. Now, drowsiness, sloth and torpor. Okay. Drowsiness and sloth and torpor, it's always good that if you want to pay attention to it, make sure that your mindfulness at least come up to some degree, some good degree to notice this drowsiness and sleepiness. Uh, Of course, when we are talking about when you are healthy and more or less there's no sickness at that moment of time. Uh, if there are sickness during in the practice, there'll be a lot of drowsiness, there'll be a lot of sleepiness, and you cannot avoid those things. So let's say your body is healthy, your body is everything is good, and drowsiness, more or less, they still come in. Not as strong as like in the first few days, but still there. Now, when it's still there, that would be good that for us to learn to pay attention to the sloth and torpor or the sleepiness. Uh, To notice the sleepiness, at least we must know that they are already there. If you do not know they are there, they will drag you into being very sleepy only. If you do not know it in the beginning part of it. So if you know it, if you can detect it, then it'll be very good. At least you begin to acknowledge that it is there. Now, second thing is again here you must learn to accept. You must learn to accept your sleepiness or drowsiness. A lot of us sometimes when we meditate, we do not want to accept all this type of drowsiness. We thought that meditation must be clean and clear. Yeah. Everything must be soon, sleepiness all over already. Then every day must be nice and pleasant. No, no. Or even on the opposite scale is the restless mind, the thinking mind, the rest. Sometimes again, we thought that there will be a lot of thinking mind. First few days, especially that. Also, there are a lot of thinking mind also. Usually, for yogis, is after the sleepiness over first 2 or 3 days or 4 days, then after that, a lot of thinking coming in. A lot of thinking. Yeah. After that, maybe 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, or 10 days, then the mind starts to settle down. A little much more settled down. Still some thinking, still some sleepiness is still there. Yeah. But that one, it's we learn to manage them, especially at that time, especially right now. You're passing through how many days already over here. Uh, so it would be good that we learn how to deal with a bit of drowsiness, since you asked. Now, now, when the drowsiness comes in, as I said, you must learn to accept it. Uh, accepting doesn't mean that you just relax, and you don't fight with it and let yourself sleep. Also not right, Uh, that's not what I meant by acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean that just surrender. But acceptance also doesn't mean that we begin to fight with it. We like inside there, oh, how come your sleepiness still come? I thought that I already overcome you just now. I thought I overcome you yesterday. Why are you still here? That's not accepting of the sleepiness. So when the sleepiness comes in, you must learn to accept it as it is. Then when you're able to accept it, then you learn to overcome it in the right manner. Okay? You must learn to overcome them in the right manner. Now, learning to overcome the sleepiness in the right manner is again here, you must employ again mindfulness and mental effort. A lot of mindfulness and mental effort is required. Other words, you got to step up the energy, step up your noting. Uh, uh, uh. So when the sleepiness comes in, then again you pay attention to its characteristic. Take for example, pay attention to its characteristic. How is the sleepiness is like? Is the sleepiness like heavy? Sleepiness like what do you go through this afternoon? Uh, Sleepiness uh, like very something like lights covering off, something like very sinking feeling, something like somebody like you sometimes you notice that your energy begin to drop, that you're noticing noting power begin to less and less and less. Uh, these are all characteristic of sleepiness when it comes in. Uh, when it comes in one way or another, it comes in this way or another. Or sometimes when the sleepiness comes in, it comes in also with the movement. Like what your question here is like the movement of the spine, the bending of the spine, which is part of as how it comes into you. Uh, uh, uh. So all these things has to be noted if you can. Other words, like for example, if you are sleepy, you note sleepy, and you see how the nature of the mind is become dark, become heavy, some become heavier until you turn off everything. Then not if you turn off everything, then turn it on again. And then not again. Not. Sometimes you become clear again. Sometimes clear again, then it comes again, as if like another wave of it come, and then you're not clear, come. But, this is how we pay attention to the sleepiness. And sleepiness, it's an object for vipassana because sleepiness occurs in the present moment. Sleepiness has got its characteristic. Other words, sleepiness also in a deeper aspect of sleepiness, they are also impermanent. They are also changing, arising, passing away also. So pay attention to them. After all, every retreat you come, it's going to be there. No, it's not going to go over anytime soon. So deal with it. Pay attention to it, how it's characteristic. Sometimes if you notice the sleepiness comes in and as the body starts bending or your head starts bending forward or the sideways, then pay attention to it exactly as it is. Uh, you are not here to try to get rid of sleepiness. Sleepiness will go away if your mindfulness starts to increase from the behind. But while you're noting your object, you're noticing the sleepiness, you're noticing the bending and so on, then you are re-arousing the sleep, you re-arousing the mindfulness again. And as the mindfulness starts to build up, then it overcomes the sleepiness. Okay? Not trying to suppress the sleepiness, not trying to suppress even like the thinking mind also. It's about learning to accept them as they are. So when you're able to accept them as they are, then you find that you are not so forceful anymore. You still note clearly, but you're not like forcing your mind into getting rid of it. So this is one way. You pay attention to how it bends. Pay attention to how it goes forward a little bit. Sometimes you go a little bit more. Sometimes you go under 45 degree. You there that time not bending. Heavy, sleepy. Drowsy. Then note them. Uh, uh, or sometimes, if you do not want to use that way of noting, then put the at least you know that sleepiness is there. But this time, you bring yourself noting the sitting and touching. Use the sitting and touching, which can be very helpful for the overcoming the sleepiness. Then here we arouse the mindfulness and the mental effort through another object rather than actually looking at it directly. Uh, so note the sitting and touching. So how do you note it? So bring your attention back again to the touching aspect. Touching, touching, touching. And this time, notice it a bit faster. Touching, 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 touching. Then sometimes there's as I said yesterday, you notice the characteristic as hard or soft or warm or cold. Just pick one or two characteristic will do. Once you pick up those characteristics, then you move on to the next object. Say here again is your buttock. Again, here you notice sitting, 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 sitting. Then try to not pick up a sensation or two. Then again, you go to the left buttock. So you notice that then. So you go a little bit more faster. So you go a bit more faster, or you change it clockwise, or you do it anti-clockwise. Or you change completely like the object itself. Say, for example, you notice the touching. Notice the touching. Then you notice the whole body sitting. Also can. You notice the whole body sitting. Sitting. Also, okay. Sometimes we notice as the mindfulness, as the sleepiness is still there. Sometimes again we change different object. Sometimes we'll begin to take up, some people may feel the lips that are touching also, they can feel something. Sometimes the knees that's touching onto the cushion, they could feel something, the right knee, left knee. So again, they completely change another object. So when you change to totally new object, your mind has to work for it, work to notice its characteristic. Then, because you work for it, mindfulness and effort begin to arouse from the background. Then you begin the more and more alert. So if you can do that, then it's well and good until you overcome the sleepiness. Yeah. Yeah. So there are a number of ways how we can overcome the sleepiness while we are sitting. Usually in the walking, there's less sleepiness, usually. But nevertheless, once in a while, it can come in. During in the walking, if there you encounter some degree of drowsiness, then again here you must learn to change your pace. Sometimes you'll go a little bit faster or you go a little bit slower, depending on the circumstances. Say for example, if you're already slow already, lifting, pushing, you do very slow, but then you feel that wow, it's still getting tired and the mind is not clear. At that time, you do a little bit faster. You do a bit faster in order just to change the speed a little bit, then things will be much more clearer. Or sometimes you are quite fast, maybe one phase, then you feel a bit tired, then try go a little bit slower and see whether it picks up or not. Sometimes because you pay attention to it more clearly, then energy arises, then it becomes clear. Uh, so something like that on the sleepiness, on the drowsiness. So as the question, as you said, that if you're bending and noticing, then it happens, pay attention to it. It's perfectly all right.